Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Access.
Do it live.
Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Welcome to another episode of Wired Axcess Podcast, where I'm your host, DJ K-Dub Omaha. We're a part of that Hurrdat Sports production crew. To my left, I have Will No Layups Kyle the Third. And to his left, I have my co-host, Jeff Koonsman. Welcome to the show again, Mr. Kyle.
Thank you for having me.
Ooh, man, do we got some catch up. You know, this is what Jeff's like, what are we going to go into? I said, what I love about this is a recap of the last year. Mm-hmm. Your episode for us gave a lot of people the Will Kyle that they see on the floor, a different point of view of who he really is and how you develop to who you are. Obviously, you made some big decisions this year that I think will help not just even someone like your family here, Jeff, because he's got a son going through that could in the future need to look at things like transfer portal. It's so scary as a parent. And I can only imagine as a player where you're like, do I stay? Do I go? Decisions. So for me, it's just kind of bringing everybody up to speed. If you don't know, Will Kyle, we had him on last year, and he was with South Dakota State. This year, he's going to be a part of UCLA and heading all the way to Cali, man. Yeah. That's going to be weird. First of all, I have to ask parents, what are they going to do? Because your dad went to every game.
Yeah, you know my parents. Mom she isn't as flexible with work, but they support me with whatever I do. So throughout the process, they let me know multiple times. They're like, do not let location be a factor, because it was a factor. Like my going into my freshman year in college, okay, I knew like I want to be close to home. I want to be around my family. But with something like this is a decision that was like for the next 5-10 years of my life, because obviously I have aspirations of playing in the NBA, and UCLA is a great school to help me reach that goal. And I feel like we'll also be a really, really special team this year. But they're still going to be at a lot of games. And then something cool that I was able to do is I was able to get a apartment with a 2-bedroom. So whenever they do come in town, they could come in and stay with me. So I just thought that was really great that I was able to do that for them.
Now, I have to admit, whether you call it the homer or the local, when you put on the red, I have to say my heart got big when you put the Husker stuff on. Going through the transfer portal process, what was some of the feelings that you got? What was some of the reactions that you felt?
I mean, to be honest, going through that whole process, I kind of it just felt so surreal. I feel like even now it just still hasn't even set in. Like I'm going to UCLA. Like we were here around a year ago this time, and we were talking about my plans going into my next year at South Dakota State. And if you would have told me then that I would be playing at UCLA the next year, I would have thought you were crazy. But it's just amazing, and I'm extremely blessed to have this opportunity, because I know there's kids around the world that dream to want to do what I'm going to be able to do. And but going through the process, just I wasn't like, I wouldn't say I was stressed, but I would say I was just thankful for every call that I got, just because I know like this isn't common. This isn't common for other people to go through, and for this to happen to me and have all these people wanting me to come to their schools, it was just very, very special, and I thank God every day for it. But I was just extremely blessed, but it still feels surreal. That was just the main thing. It just felt surreal.
Jeff, of course, this is a Bellevue local kid showing process can happen. What impact does he have, not just for kids now, but even in the future for Bellevue West, Bellevue East, to see that your road isn't going to be a straight line? There's going to be some highs, some lows, but if you stay the course, that high could be UCLA.
It's a couple things, especially when it comes to somebody like him. I've watched him grow up since he was a kid. And when you get somebody who's able to, ride that roller coaster ride, and you never see him like jump off and like he doesn't get distracted, he just wants to keep getting better. And then when he leads, he's so humble, right? So he doesn't he doesn't talk a lot. He lets his work show, you know, when he goes in, and like even the no layups thing, you know, but when you speak to him, it's still, he's humble. I've known this man for 12 years. It's always been Mr. Jeff, you know, just the utmost respect. So when you have that kind of leader, and the kids that are coming up can see that the kind of behavior we want to display is going to be of that liking, and that's because, you know, got good parents, grew up in a good home, then the other kids are going to look towards that direction to go into, you know what I mean, when they're looking at that. And even when it comes to the point of taking that chance, when I want to stay home, maybe just to grow as a man and get comfortable, and then he goes up to South Dakota State and just gets blessed, right, with the talent, and he just comes out of nowhere, and then like there's no layups, and now he has the opportunity to go to UCLA. The story in itself, and then have an opportunity to come and tell his story on platforms like this, just an amazing thing. And I think just kids going forward should definitely just, if they're going to look at somebody, I mean, there's so many from his class and the class before that, that was just great. But him in particular, I think if it's one where, you know, they want to just see how the grind goes and how to really get to it, and, you know, how to behave yourself and hold yourself as a gentleman, you know, and as a man, this is a perfect example.
Well, and I like what you brought there, his class. You jump in the portal. What was that part like for you? What was behind the thought? And how did you come to that decision? Because I think kids nowadays, it's an open thing, but it's still not talked about as much. How did that come to you of going, this is what I need to do, is possibly put myself out there? Because it wasn't just you. You got to join the portal with your former teammates, both Zeke, Chucky Hepburn and also Frankie. And it's like, man, we could all go to one place.
Yeah. And even my teammates at South Dakota, South Dakota State, like Zeke and some of my other friends. But it was extremely emotional. I mean, it was a roller coaster ride. But for the longest, I know like we were getting saturated by agents and people reaching out to me, and it got to the point where I told my dad, I don't want to hear anything from anyone, because it was just fogging my mind too much. Like I was hearing, are you gonna stay? Because like after the freshman year, it's like I had a pretty good freshman year, so it's like, are you gonna stay? Are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do that? It was just fogging my mind. I wanted to be present at South Dakota State, and so I told my dad, I was like, look, I want you to handle all this. So he had every call with people like outside of like wanting to represent me as far as just agents go, because like I didn't even want to think about being represented. I just wanted to be present at South Dakota State. Obviously I have an agent now, and he's helped me out a lot. Darnell James is my agent, and he's helped me out a lot through the process, and we really trust him. But going through the process of making that decision was extremely emotional. I know I cried about it even the day before I told my coach, and like it was really tough, because I have so much love for South Dakota State, but even my coaches understood that they want the best for me as well, and I felt like this was the best decision to play at a higher level and hopefully increase my stock in playing in the NBA in the future. So I felt like that's pretty much all it came down to, was just playing at a higher level. And I can't thank the South Dakota State staff and the community enough. They treated me well in my time there. And even after I transferred, I still call my coaches from South Dakota State, and they helped me, and they were on calls throughout the process, and I would call them and get their feedback on different schools. And it was just an amazing experience, because you hear horror stories about some kids, they can't use the gym, they have a horrible relationship with their coaches after they enter the portal, but it was the complete opposite for me. And I really thank them for all their help and everything that they've done for me in my time at South Dakota State.
I think that's so huge. Go ahead, but that right there is huge.
When you asked me that last question, what he just replied, my answer. Just the way he described that, and just being thankful, and just keeping that, like, brother,
dude, you can't make it up.
Good stuff.
It's either you have it or you don't.
Yeah, good people.
And for you, I mean, you might be able to say, you might not, I don't know, but your last episode had agents and people reaching out to your dad to let him know how important it was to use your platform to really tell your story of who Will Kyle is. The humble, the direct, the how much everything. Dude, I watched you with those little kids. Every little kid mattered. And especially your smallest fan that had the Will Kyle no layup shirt. Like that hits. But then on the flip side, when he was able to go, how's Bub doing? And I saw him jump back to like 12 years ago. So that's what I like about you is you live in your moment, but you're also able to take yourself back to who Will Kyle is, and you never let that overcome it. Jeff, he said things that is hard to say. The coaches cared about what he was going to do. They cared about where he was going to go. How important is that not only for him, but also for the program of South Dakota State?
Well, like for instance, he just spoke into it, right? And he says he kept contact with them, and like not even that, like he's told them and that he's going to leave their program, and you could just tell that the relationship that they even had from player, coach, organization, staff, coach that they had, that it was special because they still want to help this young man. And I'll tell you what, for South Dakota State, and I'll tell you, they build that program pretty good, and every year they fight and they play well. Shout out to those guys, because most people, when they have a kid like Will, who's going to be every school wants them, they're contacting them, they want them to be there, and for them just to put their hands, in it with them and just say, hey, when they're representing this guy, trying to help him make good decisions and better decisions, that is just, for me, on both sides, from player and school, is just a perfect story to display when you want to talk about like relationships and commitments, to the goal of why we recruited this kid in the first place, because the vision that's now coming to life for him, they seen it from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So
they gave him the love early,
sure.
and they're willing to pass the love on to the next row.
Yep.
So you go into the transfer portal. What is it like also having fellow teammates and former fellow teammates? Is there chatter amongst you guys? Because on the social media side, for all the people that are sportscasters, oh my God, there's a chance that Will, Chucky, and Frankie are gonna all go to this school, blah blah blah. What is that point of view, and how much do you guys just kind of let it feed out into the world?
I mean, there's definitely chatter amongst us all, but to be honest, the likelihood of all three of us ever playing together, we all knew it's probably not going to happen, because I mean we're all young men. This is a decision for ourselves. This isn't a decision to, let's get the high school team back together. And then so like we all talked about that, like, hey, we joked about it, hey, that'd be crazy, which was fun and jokes, but we all knew this is a decision for us, and as young men, this is decisions that's gonna lay out the path for the next few years of our life, because we all have aspirations of playing at the highest level, being the NBA. And so that's kind of what it was for us. But we did talk about it, and not even just teaming up, but like our experiences, like, hey, what are you going through? How are you feeling with this? And I feel like that really helped us all out, because obviously Chucky entered like a lot later, but I was talking to Frankie and my old teammate Zeke from South Dakota State. And I would talk to them, and we kind of see like how, like, hey, how are you doing with all this? Because I know I was getting flooded with calls, so I could only imagine what it was like for them. Like, hey, you doing
Did you
good?
know
Yeah.
Zeke was going to go through this before? Obviously, I only asked this because you guys are closer in the moment than you are with like Frankie or Chucky. Did you know it before he announced it? That was it something he was talking to you about? Like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. What are you up to?
Well,
Or is it close to the vest until the announcement's official?
I would say there was I don't really want to talk about like what he was gonna do.
I got
in like our private conversations, but
yeah,
like obviously we've talked about the portal before. I mean, that's just college basketball today.
yes.
I mean, the high majors are going to look for kids who then showed out at lower mid-major levels, and like we've talked about it. But I mean, he could have came back, and like we thought he was leaving last year.
Okay.
I mean he came back, so I mean, at the end of the day, that was his decision, and we were definitely present with South Dakota State.
I think that was the biggest key
Mhm.
there. Both were present no
Mhm.
matter what was going
Yeah.
on outside of
Yeah.
it. He said the transfer portal is obviously huge. Do you feel that the transfer portal will get the player to the right place that they're supposed to be? And I say that because some people are like, I have to go D1 or I bust. You go D1,
Yeah.
you're not getting the play time, you're not getting whatever. They transfer down to D2, D3, boom, all of a sudden there's these stars.
Mhm.
But they think it's because they just didn't get love at D1 instead of understanding, no, it's getting you properly leveled
Mhm.
to where you can succeed. And I think that's what the vague thing is where can you succeed?
Yeah, I feel like you really uh did a good job touching on that because I mean let's be frank. I wasn't a high major player out of high school. I mean, you guys saw me play. I had the intangibles. I could jump. I could run, and like I had all those things you can't teach. But at that time, I wasn't a high major player. So, like you said, it's where you can go and where you could be successful, and that just happened to be South Dakota State for me. To and I didn't expect to go to South Dakota State in 2 years. Hey, I'm leaving. I didn't come in with that mindset, and quite frankly, I didn't want to think about transferring at all while I was there, just because, like I said, I wanted to be present with South Dakota State and block out any outside noise of transferring. Obviously, it came to that point, and like that was like after the season. Okay, let's have
Yeah.
these talks now. But like you said, I feel like it's big to go where you could be successful, and I feel like in a way the transfer portal is good in that way because obviously I'm transferring to UCLA, and I feel like I could be successful there. Uh, yeah, I feel like it could be good in a way, but at the same time, a player has to do their own due diligence. It's not just about going D1. It's not just about going to a Power 5 school. It's about where can I be successful? Because you can go to a D1 or a Power 5 and not do your due diligence, and hey, I don't fit in this system. Hey, I don't have a relationship with the coaches. Hey, I don't really bond with my teammates. There's so many different factors that go into uh, not only committing out of high school, but also transferring as well. And I kind of got to see both worlds. I mean, I did get to see both worlds of that. So there's just a lot of factors, I would say, but there definitely is positives to the transfer portal and just finding your team that you could be successful with.
Jeff, father, coach, and you have kids going through it. Speak on your side of what hearing from him means for you as a parent, but also as a coach on how you can use this wording just from a direct player's mouth of how they can use it to the benefits and not think that it's just there as a crutch.
Uh, Benefits wise, I think it works out, especially like in this situation, because the transporter could be messy, but like let's talk about where it could be good at too. Like South Dakota State right now is putting themselves in a position where it's like, we're that mid major, but hey, we're developing kids and we're getting them to the next level. So now trust is being put into that program. So now as a parent, as a coach, if my kid's in a position where that's something that's going to be on the table and it could be another name that's glitz and glamour, but the intentions aren't the same. Now we know as far as development because the goal is, like you said, now he's going to go to UCLA, 11 national titles. You know what I mean? And highly recruited out of that position of, I'm going to take the gamble and I'm going to go up here to the smaller, but it's the development and it's the mindset of the player itself too, though. That's going to make those things. So I just think having that platform in South Dakota, being able to develop, and then the kids and the players' mindsets to not dumb it down, but come to a sense of reality and say, this is where I want to go, but this is where I am today. And then being able to acknowledge that, I think, and just have a truth about it is just, I think that is the thing that sets them apart. Is like being able to go to get developed and then also having the honest truth of what I need to do to be where I'm going, not where I'm at, where I'm going. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking for my son too. It ain't about him, where he's going. It's about like, what are you going to do when you get there?
And then the future will come through.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you look at your process, let's just say your top 3 teams that you were looking at out of the portal. I don't need to know them. We know who number 1 is, and that's all that matters. What was some things, though, that those top 3 that were on your mind did right for Will Kyle?
I feel like what I was looking for was definitely a fit. I felt like to feel like I was wanted, like a priority, because you could be a want, but you don't want to be a want at a school. You know, it's like, hey, we need you. Like this is how we feel like you could fit in. So that's really what I was looking for as well. Development, because obviously I still got some parts of my game that I need to work on. So I want to go to a school where I feel like could develop me. Uh, and then just like the relationship I had, just talking to the coaches and hey, do I feel like I could see myself being coached under this staff? And another thing that was important to me is like, how much am I talking to the head coach, and like, do I feel like the head coach uh like knows who I am and knows my game and like how I could really fit into their system? And that's what I really liked about UCLA, and I feel like they just checked the boxes all the way through, and that's kind of what helped me make my decision with that.
Dudes, I can't. It's like everybody's like, do you pre-script any questions? Heck no. It's all live. And the answers that this dude just keep dropping live is just reality for those who are looking for their own kid, can pull just one thing away of the process. And that's what I like about it, is it's a platform, because as a father of four, it's scary to think of college, to think of what's next. When you look through all this process of this past couple months for you, what was probably the hardest thing for you through the process? Because everybody, there was, I mean, at least through the social media I seen, there was a lot of colleges that wanted Will Kyle. What was probably the hardest and stressful thing for you?
I mean, man, uh, I wouldn't. That's a tough question. I gotta think about that one. I can't really go into that one right now.
That's okay.
Uh,
What was the easiest process part of it, do you think? Was it the matter of everybody's tagging Will Kyle and everything that they're posting when it comes to you, and
mhm.
they're showing, oh, he should come to this school, he should come to that
Yeah.
school? Or I mean, because social media can
Mhm.
honestly cloud just as much as all those calls that your dad was fielding
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah, and
How did you kind
yeah.
of distinguish between the two?
I kind of try to stay off social media as far as but like, I got the question, where are you going? Like I got that probably every day. But I would say it, and I don't want to categorize this as stressful just because it's a blessing, but like it's a lot because you got your phone is ringing 24/7 throughout the day. So I feel like that was definitely a lot, but like at the same time it was a blessing because it's like some kids dream of that, but it and like I know my dad could speak to that as well. As soon as I committed, he was like, it's over. And then that phone was it stopped ringing, and we could be relaxing, and we knew that I found my home, and I was just so happy.
I think you put it in the right way, and I don't think anybody would take it in a bad way,
Mhm,
because no one knows what it's like until you're going through it.
mhm,
It's not like that wasn't what your phone was doing before freshman year.
mm-mm,
You couldn't have even imagined or pictured what was going to happen.
mhm.
You and your teammates get yourself to the NCAA tournament. What did that mean to leave that legacy with your teammates and be able to say that we helped this team get to the next step? I think for that school
I felt
is
yeah.
consistency.
I feel like it meant so much to me. I mean, after we won the summer league title, I just went into tears because I know how hard I worked, and just how much of a dream that was for me, and just to play back in Omaha was the cherry on top. And I jumped in the stands and hugged my dad. And ironically, after we won, I came back to our old video. I turned it on YouTube, and I went back to the end where you like, what do we have coming for next year? And I remember I was sitting in the same position, and I told you, hopefully we're gonna be in the March Madness and win the Summer League title, and we did just that. So just to leave on that note was absolutely amazing.
I tell you, Jeff, for for the stepping stones through the process and for them to get to the tournament, it's not an easy task. And I think sometimes people don't understand like the schedule, the extra workouts. I mean, you have athletes that even come back now to work out. You're obviously working out at Explosive Edge, still working out. How important or how hard or easy do you think it is for kids to realize what it takes?
You an athlete, I train. Simple. You know, whatever profession you choose to do, I mean, we don't just get to do it once a week. You know, if that's our profession, and that's what we call ourselves as an athlete. You know, so I think every day that you come back, you got to get to the gym, and like he's probably like the same way. It's like I go work out anywhere. I just got to get it in. I got to get it done. I got to stay on course because you can sit back and not train, but then what's everybody else doing? And if your goals, you know, are you got to align these steps that you when you come back, like your goals don't shift or change because this is the ultimate goal at the end, not for Saturday or Sunday. So it's the ultimate goal for the end. So we don't sleep. Like what Kobe say, job finished. It's not.
It's never finished.
Simple, you know.
Jeff, I'll also have you speak on this. You knew Will Kyle when Will Kyle was track and field. Basketball was never the thing. Olympics was an impossible. What does it mean for someone like yourself to see a kid go through the process, just as you said your own son did on our show, where he went from basketball to now a football at the next level, and his goal is NBA over the Olympics? Not saying the Olympics ain't a possibility, because obviously that still can happen in basketball. What does that tell you for those parents that go, I want my kid to play this sport, and that's what they're going to play, and now look at where they could be?
Well, you know, I think the track was a blessing for him, though.
It was.
I mean, what's your vertical?
I mean, I just recorded it. 42 minimum. I maxed it out, so I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's a minimum 42.
Have you watched this man play a game?
Yes,
Rebound
sir.
goes up. He's down the middle of the court. First one back, waiting, no layup because it was not a need because I'm faster. And I'm taking these strides. I'm getting ahead of everybody. Now he's in the weight room. So now he's working out. So like the training for the track and like what he had to go through for that is set him up for the basketball player that he is today. So like as a parent, sometimes you have, I want my kid to do this, but that may be what is being told to you, you know, but it could be to set him up for something different. You know what I mean? And I always used to tell his dad too, like, let him play basketball, you know, it was track. But you remember this. It was track because I coached back. I wanted to play with us. I'm like, and it was track. It was track. It was track. And it never stopped. And I didn't ever understand it, but like, we don't need to, because now we look at what he's got going on, and like he's had the accomplishments in track. He's had the accomplishments in basketball, defensive player of the year last year, leading his team to the Summit Championship, and just watching it just grow is like, it's awesome, because like, even though we have our mindset on one thing, you know, the course may lead us down the path towards another, you know, and him just being accepting of the course and just taking it and just enjoying the ride of it. I mean, look at what it's given him, you know, so that's a good thing. Just blessing.
You brought up a great point. Probably one of the hardest awards to win, Defensive Player of the Year. Was that the most cherished award that you won out of this whole time at South Dakota State?
I would say no. I still feel like that. Just the Summer League championship is just the biggest thing for me, because I mean I did that with my brothers. You know what I'm saying? So and I couldn't have done all first team or all defensive player of the year. Couldn't have done it without them as well. And so I wouldn't say that's my favorite one. I would definitely say that Summer League championship is.
For sure. I feel, and want to make sure you know, take very pride in that defensive thing, especially in basketball nowadays. No one gets the props unless you do the hard work. And obviously it's developed to who you are today. UCLA, you head out there here shortly. What is it? What do you feel like is going to happen heading out there? What's kind of the early vibes that you're getting of what you got to do, what you're going to be? Are you going to be there all summer? Are you going to be able to come back? What's kind of the travel plans?
Yeah, so I leave out this Friday, and then I'm gonna get moved into my apartment out there, and just gonna get right to work, just like when I got home. So one thing I know, it's gonna be competitive, and there's no guarantees. starting, playing third game. I'm just gonna come in and just work my butt off and try and have an impact for the team in the best way possible. And obviously, I have aspirations of playing in the NBA, but it's not easy to be realistic. But I'm gonna control what I can control the controllables, and my effort, my energy, and just try and do big things out there.
Of course, you got some new players joining you out there at UCLA. Who's maybe one or two player that you're looking to see how the team up really goes down between you and them? Someone you might be looking forward to getting to be on the same court with.
To be quite frank, just all of them. I mean, we got shooters, we got playmakers, we got athleticism too, and it's going to be really, really exciting. I don't think I've ever played on a team, I feel like, with so many talented players, and it's going to be really exciting. And just I don't feel like there's just a few players. I feel like every player. I can't wait to get out there, start forming a relationship with the team as well. And already started texting some of the guys, but I'm just super excited to play with everyone and play in this new system as well.
Going cross country, grandparents still here, all that. What do you think is going to be the hardest thing for you to adjust to?
I would definitely say being far away. Obviously, Dad, Dad, he's not going to miss anything, but being so far, like obviously a lot of the other family, like they got stuff going on. I know my uncle never been on a plane. On my Uncle Pooh, he's gonna you're gonna have to get over that, Uncle Pooh. But they really haven't traveled that far, but they're gonna my family, they love me, and they're gonna support me wherever I go. And but that's definitely gonna be an adjustment, them not being to be at every game, because my dad didn't miss anything at all. But like they said, they didn't want me to take that into consideration. And ultimately, I feel like Lord willing, this will be the best thing I ever did for myself.
You're heading out there. You're gonna have a big lifestyle change, and the way that you have to carry yourself. Obviously, amongst UCLA is now part of the Big Ten. What is that? Does that kind of make you know that you'll have a couple trips coming back this way?
Yeah, that's actually a good thing, because we'll be playing at Nebraska, so I'll have a lot of family and friends. I've already had a bunch of people tell me that, hey, we're gonna make it to a game, and I just appreciate all the love and support that people have for me, and it's just amazing. It's just really, really, really amazing.
Jeff, the conference has changed. You're seeing California come all the way to Nebraska. Do you think this is going to affect the playing for these kids? Because the travel used to be buses most of the time, or quick trip, but they're having to travel 1,500 miles, and then you got to go into game. You've taken some travel teams on some trips. How does the travel really affect the person you might or might not get?
I can only speak from the experiences I've had. The travel didn't really affect them, but I think if you take into consideration like a college kid, like they got homework, they've been working out, they got other things they gotta take care of as well, and then travel 1,500 miles, instead of UCLA going to Stanford or somewhere else in the Pac-10. But I think as far as for them, their development and playing against the best, because basically you just merged the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, so you're getting players with styles from the West Coast, and then you get players with style from the Midwest. But even past that, he's from Omaha kid, and he's playing out on the West Coast. So the transfer portal has opened it up now to where kids from every place, city, they're on these teams from West Coast, Midwest. So I think merging them is good for the fans. I think it's really good for us, because being able to watch UCLA basketball and stuff like that from Pac-12, and now it's coming over here, Oregon, Dana Altman gets to come back. I think it's a good package, but I don't know how good it is for other conferences, but for the Big Ten, we'll take it.
I like that. Will, what is UCLA getting with Will Collin? You left a message last time. What are you going to leave for these fans?
I definitely say you're gonna get hard work and dedication to the program. And as far as goals, a Big Ten title and a national championship. I mean, that's the goal and that's the standard at UCLA. And I'm gonna work my butt off, like I said, to make an impact for the team. And I know all the other guys, we're excited to get up there and start working together. And I'm just excited for what the future holds.
If you can leave a message for any player that might check this out about the transfer portal, what's one thing you wish you would have known prior to going through the process?
Man, that's another tough one. I can't touch on like something to know like actually entering the portal, but one thing I could say to like players, and I talked to Jeffrey about this as well, is don't when you're at your school, like your current school, don't think about transferring. Just be present where you're at, because once like I was talking to you, like my mind was getting fogged with outside noise. Don't let outside noise distract you from what you got going right now, because once you start thinking, oh, I gotta transfer, that's when just things start to fall apart. Just be present where you're at and everything will take care of itself.
Man, we'll take that and we'll leave it on that. Once again, Wired Access Podcast, make sure to like, share these episodes, especially if you know athletes that might be going through a lot of what he has experienced. One where he is getting planted where he is going, and he is growing every single time. He's using each stepping stone to get to his ultimate goal, which he has said already is to one day be on an NBA court. Once again, Wired Access, Hurrdat Sports production. We appreciate you. Till next time.